This is a podcast of professionalizing entrepreneurship. My name is Lau Ngai Yuan, and I'm with the co-creators of the Professional Practice in Entrepreneurship PPE, Dr. Ainurul Rosli from Brunel University London, a reader in entrepreneurship and enterprise, as well as Dr. Jane Cheng, founder of Gritzy Social Enterprise London. This is the 10th episode, and we're talking about starting up, beyond startup, the bigger picture. What is the end goal of a startup, and what are we using entrepreneurship to do for the world?
This is very interesting. In the past, entrepreneurship has been about starting a new business, creating a new venture. That's what the definition is about. Creating the opportunity to start a new venture, to qualify them that you are in the process of entrepreneurship. But nowadays, the practice of entrepreneurship is beyond startup. In the Finnish learning system, it's about changing the society, changing the society challenges into something as a need to create for economic growth and also for sustainable growth. It's not just about business, startup, profiting from customers.
Yeah, because by the end of the day, it is the process that you have to go through. And I think the term of serial entrepreneur, what serial entrepreneurs do is just simply going through the process. They're just simply enjoying the journey, and as time goes by, they're just simply learning and to get better and better. And because of that, people call them a serial entrepreneur. But at the end of the day, what they do is just simply go through the process. And if entrepreneur have this, individual have this mindset that their ultimate aim is actually come out with a startup, right? It should not be the end. That should be the beginning, because having a startup means there's a potential for you to grow, and having to know and understand how to sustain startup, how to come up with a sustainable businesses is what matters.
And what is the idea when you tell the students that startups or starting a business is really not about making money? What are their reactions like? Won't they get really disappointed? But because, as you're growing up, money do mean quite a fair bit to you at that age.
Actually, this is quite different in the opposite, contrarily, because nowadays, my time is about making money, startup, making money, exploitation, making money. But nowadays, the young, especially the millennials, they're looking at, look, there are so many things happening. Recycling, pollution. You, the former generations, have polluted the world, corrupted the world. How are we going to live for the next few generations? They are very concerned about societal, the challenges they are facing. They don't even can earn enough to buy a house at the moment. It's really difficult for them. The previous generation, we can buy a house, we are quite comfortable, but the younger generation, they're facing a different issues. So money making may not be the first currency. It could be about creating value that meets the social challenges, that help to grow and create jobs for them.
Yeah, but what we are saying is not that money is not important. Money will always be there, and sometimes it's a good motivation for them to work towards it. But having money alone as a motivation is something that will not work. And this is why our values some episode, in one of the episodes that we mentioned, we actually focus on the ethos, values, ethics, and the principle as an entrepreneur. Why do you exist? If you're only making money for yourself, means that you're very individualistic. It means that you are not a team learner, and definitely you are not contributing to the economy and the society. So they understand that it's about hybrid, the fact that they can cooperate, they compete while actually collaborate together, and the fact that they can make money while doing good to the society, this ambidexterity, you can actually do both worlds, right? And this is something that we are trying to train our students, that you can actually have both worlds.
Is that what you mean when you say professionalizing entrepreneurship? That you do want the students to reimagine entrepreneurship in a completely different way, that it needs to be professional, you're learning about yourself, you're learning about contributing, and the money's going to come.
Yes, because in the past, entrepreneurs are considered the crooked people, exploitation of opportunities for their own good.
Yes.
So what we want to do now is we want to make awareness that no, actually entrepreneurship is about building something value to the society and help to preserve the world, the planet that they are facing. So this is what we are moving towards, social innovation. Something like that is what the young generation are after. Because we may not face like that as what they will be facing. So we have the obligation to teach them these values that they will build themselves, become their, the barometer of life or future.
Yeah, because we as an educator, we do not want to teach them or to advocate that, yes, what you need to think about is just about making money. You can actually get so much money in this world, but you've never supported your community or your neighbors, or you make so money in this world that you actually polluting the environment. And I think that would be a shame if we are advocating this kind of ethos to our students. So, knowing that they can actually do their best and set their goal high, having both hybrid values in their life will make them a better individual, will make them a better entrepreneur as well.
And we want them to be with integrity. It's not just, I'm doing doing a social thing for the good, just to whitewash.
As a CSR, most.
So we don't want that. We want them to be part of it. That's why we want them to go to the grassroots and empower the grassroots.
So we're talking about wanting them to be change agents and then how to sustain
them.
Becoming a change agent through entrepreneurship.
And because of that, we believe that entrepreneurship is a movement. If you get the change agent to move as a seed and then they actually manage to move it together, it can become a powerful tool to help the economy, to regenerate an economy, to help a societal challenges. And then that is the most powerful tools that we can actually give back to the society.
The fact that they have to interact with different organizations, therefore, and with people, different organizations, different entity. So therefore, it becomes a social movement. It's not just about me and the books or it and the product. It is a social movement.
Yeah.
So therefore, they have to become a social mobilizer.
That's nice. I like social mobilizer.
Yeah, so we have a resource mobilizer and we also have social mobilizer.
Resource mobilizer.
Yeah, so resource mobilizer, understanding of who we are and what kind of resources that we have, right? And then how do you actually mobilize your resources across your team? And now we actually once you have once you know your resources and you know how to mobilize your resources, you'll be able to, mobilize your society, social mobilizer.
So it doesn't work on your own.
You don't work on your own. You have your team with you. And then if you do it well, you go to the grassroots with your team, you could actually be a change agent to move the society.
This has got to be in a book, isn't it?
Well, yeah, we
are writing a new book.
We are writing a book at the moment, and hopefully, we will be able to, maybe in a year time.
Perhaps you can remind me and all the listeners, what are the different things that we should take away? Wanting to be change agents, wanting to be sustainable doing it, wanting to reimagine ourselves as entrepreneurs, but in a community way. Yeah,
I think the most important one is, number one, is this: take initiative and search for instruction. So, this is where the change of mindset need to come. We are focusing more on the growth mindset rather than fixed mindset. So nobody will give you instruction, right? In order for you to become a change agent, you need to take an initiative. The second one is you need to learn how to manage chaos. And when we work collaboratively together to co-create together, chaos it's a given, and we need to understand that it is a first step for the creative process to move on. They need to trust the process, and it will the outcome will emerge.
I think number 3, it's about you have to be forgiving to yourself. If things doesn't work out, allow that you're allowed to make mistakes and learn from the mistakes. So nobody is perfect. And also focus your energy on solutions rather than worrying about the problems. So that's really important.
So the next one is you can do your best. You need to set your goal high. So it's not about, experimentation just for fun. So you need to remember it takes effort and persistence to make it work. When you do that, you will then be able to see opportunities, not obstacles. So if you have a growth mindset, you can see that whenever you do aim high, you'll be able to see opportunities and not obstacles.
And like what Nike says, Just go for it, experiment, and be yourself. And you can't fake it. You just have to be yourself and tell, yes, I failed, but what do I learn from it?
Right.
Yeah, and I think more importantly is just simply enjoy the process. You have a team with you, just smile and leap in.
And also, you are not Mr. and Mrs. Know-it-all or whatever. Okay, so when you make a mistake, be humble and recreate the success again and again. And then from recreation, you know who to work with to build that ecosystem of people of similar mind, similar goals, and then you have a more voice to achieve and to sustain that empowerment within each stakeholders in the ecosystem.
Yes, and these are all of our ethos in a way on how we actually trying to change the fabric of the society.
This is what we do in Gritzy.
Yeah, so that's actually our tagline, in Gritzy, shaping the fabric of the society.
The individuals will design, but we help to shape through the building of the community.
Wow. Now I can see why you do have to finish your university degree, if you want to be a good entrepreneur too. But yes, the doing is rather important. And here's wishing that there's a lot more university and higher education that's open to the idea of shaping this same fabric of community and of society the way you were seeing it. So how are you facing challenges? Is it really easy to just go to a different faculty, for example, and tell them this idea of how you shape societal change through what you're doing, team learning, community building, ecosystem building? How do they take to this?
Like any other entrepreneurial individual, we face challenges. We have to be good in our storytelling and to convince and to persuade them and negotiate with them and get them to be part of our team and join them. So first thing is we need to say, we only have this, you have this, we can co-create, let's work together. But of course, they need to feel the fun of it, joining us together. That's really important, that whatever skills they have, it's valuable to us.
So we are not saying that we know it all as well, because whatever we do, the context matters. For example, if you're doing something in Malaysia, if the fact that we've been in the higher education system in the UK for quite some time, if you are going to do the same with higher education in Malaysia, we need to have partners here. We need to understand. We do understand the culture, but still at the same time, doing it together with people who really understand the grassroots here, people who really believe in what we do, and having a collaborators is very important.
For example, we are in UK, so I work very closely with the UMS. So they are the one who we collaborate. We provide the knowledge, the software, they provide the hardware, and we co-create, and then we can train the coaches locally so that they can train the small farmers. And then this built on, and this become the inspiration for Ainurul. She said, I want to go to Sabah.
Yes, the project is actually because I want to go to Sabah.
So that become a dream to go to Sabah, to visit Sabah, to really see what I'm doing, So I said, okay, great, then, but we don't have money.
Yes.
So we start thinking about applying for the British Council. And then here we want to talk about, to evangelize more about this kind of team learning. Why don't we do it with our 20 academics from UK and 20 in Malaysia? That's how we learn to co-create.
Yeah. So as you can see that we have a dream before, and then as an entrepreneur, we look at our resources, what kind of resources that we have. Is there any partners' resources that we can mobilize as well, and then from there we try to make it work.
So how else can other people be a part of your movement?
Yes, we are looking for more institutions, like especially in Malaysia, to join us, to have a bigger funding to help the 5 projects that we have discovered in Sabah, to help these farmers to come out with new ideas to help with their business and the village, so that they can preserve their village life, the quality of life, without having to change them.
So what we are looking for, we are in talk with several universities in Malaysia for match funding. So as a seed funding for the 5 social innovation project, we decided that the team decided, it's not us, because it's the team decided that it is better for us to pool the money together and get more funders for the seed funding, collaboration across several universities in Malaysia. For example, we are in talk with University Putra Malaysia, Multimedia University Malaysia, Malaysia, University Malaysia Kelantan, and so, University Technology Malaysia as well. So having this institution, hopefully, coming together to gear up for a bigger purpose, joining the movement of supporting social innovation projects in Malaysia to regenerate the economy, Malaysian economy, and something that is dear to our heart. We are Malaysians, so it's really dear to my heart. And it's really nice to work quite closely with local universities to see that they themselves believe in what we do. And I believe that each and all of us, if we really understand our strength and what kind of resources that we can leverage, we can mobilize it to make a bigger movement to make sure that these individuals, these 5 social innovation projects, not only the intervention that we want to make will be fruitful and impactful to them, but it is also sustainable. Because what we do not want is the moment that the funding dries up, when we leave them after the project ends, everything crumbles down. That's why we believe in the community. We believe that having a good community matters. Having a clear goal on shaping shaping the community to support their own community. It's about, rather than for the community, we are doing it with the community.
And I wish you the best of luck. And may I, myself as well as the entire team, be able to be a part of your future collaborations and future work and future movement. This has been absolutely enjoyable. And this is the podcast of Professionalizing Entrepreneurship.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for having us.